All right, this is part 2 of our 4.1 to 4.4 review. We're picking up on number 7. In this one, rather than giving you a point, an xy value, they give you the value of cosecant as -2, and they tell you that you're in quadrant 3. Okay, so I'm going to start first by drawing my triangle in quadrant 3. Then I'm going to put a little reminder over here for you, reminding you that sine's ratio is y over r, cosine is x over r, and tangent is y over x. So that what's given to us is cosecant, and that's the reciprocal of sine. So it must be r over y. So they gave us -2, and that's an understood over 1 if you're looking at it as a fraction. So that means r is 2, y is 1. So that's 1 and 2. Your cosecant value is negative, and that's going to be your y value that's negative, because r is never negative, and in quadrant 3, y is negative. Then we're going to use Pythagorean Theorem to find x right here that's missing. Don't make silly mistakes because you're rushing and do 1 squared plus 2 squared. The 2 is the hypotenuse, that's your r, so it needs to go over here for c squared. When you take the square root, remember it's plus or minus, and you have to decide if you're using the positive or negative. And in quadrant 3, x is definitely negative, so here you're going to say x is negative square root of 3. And they ask for all 6 trig functions. We'll start with sine. Y over r. Cosecant is given to us. Cosine is x over r, and secant is the reciprocal. When you flip this, you're going to end up with a root in the denominator, so you'll rationalize and get -2 square root of 3 over 3. Tangent of theta is y over x. Again, you have a root in the denominator. When you rationalize, you end up with square root of 3 over 3, and it was a negative divided by a negative, so your final answer is positive. And then cotangent, flip the original before you rationalized. It saves you the step of re-rationalizing. Okay, so negative and negative still makes it a positive, and it's just square root of 3. In number 8, they ask for the exact value of the following. A lot of y'all have been confused by that wording. It just means find this trig function, so in number 8, tangent, at this angle. What is that tangent value? So the first thing I'm going to do is draw my angle. So this is in radians, 7 pi thirds. Thirds would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 thirds. And draw your arrow to show we went a full circle and then back to it. So this reference angle is pi thirds, because we went 1 pi third past the full circle. And at pi thirds, this point is what are the values of that point, the xy values. That's what you want to ask yourself. And at pi thirds, that's your 60-degree reference angle. That would be 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. And remember that that is cosine and sine. You're asked for tangent. If you've memorized your tangent values on the unit circle, then you can quickly just tell me at a reference angle of pi thirds in quadrant 1, tangent is square root of 3. And be done with it. If you haven't memorized your tangent values, you use these cosine and sine, and you should know that tangent is sine divided by cosine. So you can take your sine value divided by your cosine value. Remember, when you're dividing fractions, you take the first and multiply by the reciprocal of the bottom. Dividing fractions is easy as pie. Flip the second and multiply. So your 2's cancel, and you're left with square root of 3. But I had it memorized, so I saved myself all of that. For 9, draw your picture. Again, this is radians. This is a improper fraction because you can reduce this. This is not simplified. So I'm going to simplify this. 24 over 6 is 4, so this reduces to 4 pi. So I'm looking for cotangent at the angle 4 pi. Well, I know half a circle is pi, a full circle is 2 pi. So when I draw my angle, I would go 2 pi, 4 pi. And it puts me right back here on the positive x-axis. The arrow would show that I went 2 full times around in the positive direction. So that point on your unit circle is at 1, 0. And again, that's cosine, sine. Cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent. So again, if you have tangent memorized, you know that tangent here is 0. The reciprocal of 0 is undefined. If you don't have it memorized, you can use your quotient ID for cotangent, and it says it's cosine divided by sine. Cosine is 1, sine is 0. You cannot divide by 0. That's undefined. Alright, on 10 and 11, same steps. Draw your picture first. 120 degrees. It's going to put you over here in quadrant 2. And you are at a reference angle of 60 degrees, because you're 60 degrees shy of 180, which is half a circle. At a 60 degree reference angle, your point is 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Now we're in quadrant 2, so your x is negative. Y is still positive. Okay, so that's cosine and sine. Cosecant is the reciprocal of sine. So I'm going to flip this over to square root of 3, and I have to rationalize. So 2 square root of 3 over 3. If sine is positive, its reciprocal is positive. 11, 135 degrees right here in quadrant 2. There's my angle. Here's my reference angle, which is 45. At a 45 degree reference angle, this point is square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, but in quadrant 2, x is negative. So then you're asking about secant. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So I flip this. Cosine was negative, so secant's going to be negative. And I need to rationalize. So you get 2 square root of 2 in your numerator. Don't forget the negative. And 2 in your denominator. Those 2's cancel. So you're left with negative square root of 2. Alright, on 12, same process. We're still in the same instructions. This is in radians, so you need to be sure you give your answer in radians, though. So negative means you're going to go in the clockwise direction. So negative pi 6. 6th is your 30 degrees. So we went this way, and that is also our reference angle is pi 6. Cosine is the x value. So this point at a pi 6 or a 30 degree reference angle, remember 30 starts with 3. So square root of 3 over 2, 1/2. In quadrant 4, x is positive, but y is negative. Cosine is the x, So it is positive square root of 3 over 2. Draw my picture for 13. All right, again, we can reduce our fraction 18 over 4. So when you reduce that, you're going to end up with a mixed number, and that's okay. It's still going to help us count a little easier. If I could get my pen. There we go. All right, so 18 over 4 is going to be 4.5. So we have 4.5 pi. Okay, so remember this is 1 pi, this is 2 pi. So if I go full length, there's 1, 2, 3, 4.5. It's going to be put me right here at a quadrant angle. And you draw your arrow to show you went around 2 full times and then back to it. Here, your reference angle can be to the left or the right because it's equal distance to the positive x-axis or the negative. It doesn't matter. Either way, your reference angle is 90 degrees, or in radians, pi halves. So at this point is 0, 1. You went over 0 and up 1. So sine is the y value, so sine of 18 pi fourths is 1. Okay, and here is the picture for 14. Tangent of 225 degrees. It's positive, so we're going in the positive direction. Around, here's 180, 225. Draw your arrow. Your reference angle here is 45 degrees. At 45 degrees, this point is square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. In quadrant 3, both x and y are negative. Tangent is sine over cosine, or if you haven't memorized here, these are the same, so it's just 1. And it's a negative divided by a negative, so it is a positive 1.